Chapter 21, Part 2. He circled the outlying communities, the dwellings dark. Gradually, the distance between communities widened and with longer stretches of empty road. His leg arched at first, then as time passed, they became numb. At dawn, Gabriel began to steer. They were in the isolated place. Fields on either side of the road were dotted with thickets of trees. Here and there he saw a stream and made his way to it across a rutted, bumpy meadow. Gabriel, wide awake now, giggled as the bike jolted him up and down. Jonas unstrapped Gabe, lifted him from the bike, and watched him investigate the grass and twigs with delight. Carefully, he hid the bicycle in thick bushes. Morning meal, Gabe. He unwrapped some of the food and fed them both. Then he filled the cup he had brought with water from the stream and held it for Gabriel to drink. He drank thirstily himself and sat by the stream watching the new child play. He was exhausted. He knew he must sleep, resting his own muscles, and prepare himself for more hours on a bicycle. It would not be safe to travel in daylight. They would be looking for him soon. He found the place deeply hidden in the trees, took the new child there, and lay down holding Gabriel in his arms. Gabe struggled chiefly as if it were a wrestling game, the kind they had played back in the dwelling tickles, with tickles and laughter. Sorry, Gabe, Jonas told him. I know it's morning, and I know you've just woken up, but we have to sleep now. He cuddled the small body close to him and rubbed the little back. He murmured to Gabriel smoothingly. Then he pressed his hands firmly and transmitted a memory of deep, content, exhaustion. Gabriel's head nodded after a moment and fell against Jonas's chest. Together, fugitive slept through the first dangerous day. The most terrifying thing was the plains. By now days had passed. Jonas no longer knew how many. The journey had become automatic. The sleep by days hidden in underbrush and trees, the finding of water, the careful division of scraps of food, augmented by what he could find in the fields, and the endless mile on the bicycle by night. His muscles were taut now. They they out they ached when he settled himself to sleep, but they were stronger, and he stopped now less often to rest. Sometimes he paused and lifted Gabriel down for a brief bit of exercise, running down the road or through a field together in the dark. But always, when he returned, strapped the uncomplaining toddler into the seat again and remounted. His legs were ready, so he had enough strength of his own and had not needed what the giver might have provided had there been time. But when the planes came, he wished that he could have received the courage. He knew they were search planes. They flew so low that they woke him with the noise of their engines, and sometimes looking out and looking down, looking out and up briefly from the hiding places, he could almost see the faces of the searcher. He knew that they could not see color, and that their flash, as well as Gabriel's light golden curls, would be no more than smear, smear, smears of grey against the colorless foliage. But he remembered from his science and technology studies at school that the search planes used heat-seeking devices which could identify body warmth and could home in on two humans headless in shrubbery. So always, when he heard the aircraft sound, he reached to Gabriel and transmitted memories of snow, keeping some of himself. Together they became cold, and when the airplanes were gone, they would shiver, holding each other until sleep came again. Sometimes arguing the memories into Gabriel, Jonas felt that they were more shallow, a little weaker than they had been. It was what he had hoped, and what he and the giver had planned. That as he moved away from the community, he would shade the memories and leave them behind from the people. But now, when he needed them, when the planes came, he tried hard to cling what he still had of cold and to use it for their survival. Usually the aircraft came by day, when they were hiding, but he was alert at night too, on the road, always listening intently for the sound of engines. Even Gabriel listened, and would call out, "Plane, plane!" Sometimes before Jonas had heard their terrifying noise. When the aircraft searchers came, as they did occasionally, during the night as they rode, Jonas sped to the nearest tree or bush, dropped dropped it to the ground, and made himself and Gabriel cold. But it was sometimes a frighteningly close call. As he paddled through the night, through isolated landscape now, with the communities far behind, and no sign of human habitation around him or ahead, he was constantly vigilant, looking for the next nearest hiding place should the sound of engines come. But the frequency of the planes diminished. They came less often and flew, when they did come, less slowly, as if the search had become absurd and no longer hopeful. Finally, there was an entire day and night when they did not come at all.